Welcome to the lecture series in computer science. In today's session, we will be seeing topics on the script mode and then the basics of functions. We will see why the script mode is used, what is the requirement of a script mode, and then we will see few basics of functions. And the contents of today's session are, we will see about script mode and then the differences between using an interactive mode when compared to the script mode, and what is the need for the use of functions. We will as well list the function parameters, and then we will list the function arguments, and then we will see the varied function prototypes. Now, what is a script mode? In the script mode, the Python programs are typed in a file and then the interpreter is used to execute the contents of the file. Scripts can be saved to the disks for future use. The Python scripts have the extension of .py. My dear viewers, unlike in other programming languages, say for example if you are going to work with the C language, you would have used the extension as some program name .c. Over here in Python, similarly in Python we will be having the extension as .py. So such an extension of the Python program we call it as it is present in the Python scripts. So the Python scripts have the extension of .py, and you are supposed to save the code with the proper file name .py and execute or run the interpreter in script mode to execute the script. Now let us see how to work with the script mode. This is where the Python code available in the script mode. This is a Python script mode wherein, my dear viewers, you would have seen working with the IDLE. What is IDLE? It is Integrated Development Language Environment. In the Integrated Development Language Environment, we would have worked under a prompt with a 3 greater than symbol prompt, which is called as Chevron. So working with this Chevron, you call it as working in an interactive mode, whereas in the case of script mode, it is something like typing your programs in the notepad. You would have seen the script mode, you would have seen the Python IDLE toolbar, wherein you have menu called file. Under the menu called file, you have new open. So when you give new, by pressing Ctrl N, you open this kind of an empty notepad will be opened, and here is where you type in, you key in the program codes. Say for example, if I want to get the input from the user, I write it as this user underscore input is nothing but a variable name. If I am going to have two different words, it has been concatenated with an underscore, So this is a variable user underscore input equal to input is a keyword, open braces, enter your name. Here I am giving it in quotes. It is because strings are represented within quotes, and that is the reason I give it here in quotes. And my dear viewers, the advantage of using a Python script through an IDLE is, supposing if you are going to write it correctly, it comes in a green color or the coloring changes. It is available in this 3.8.5. I am using the version 3.8.5. So in this user input is a variable equal to, why have I given space over here? I suppose if you are not giving space also, it will be working fine, but as a coding standard, as a naming style, the spacing is pretty important. The spacing gives some sort of decency in readability, some sort of decency in coding. So that is the reason I am giving spacing. So a variable name space equal to is an assignment operator, space input is a keyword, open braces, enter your name. When you are opening the braces and when you are starting the string with the double quotes, you are supposed to end the string with double quotes. When you opened it using curly braces, you are supposed to close it with curly braces. Then if is a keyword, if this particular variable equal to Python, and there is a difference between an assignment operator and this kind of operator. This double equal to is used within conditions. If then else are said to be conditions. So for checking conditions we use double equal to. If the variable name, the user input, user underscore input equal to Python, then print welcome to IDLE 3.8.5. Else, if I am not typing it as I have asked you to enter your name, if I am typing it as Ramu or Hari or Guru or Chitra or Visalam or anything of that sort, it will go into the else part. It will print as welcome to Python DTH course. If and only if I type as Python and that too the P as capital P, it will print as welcome to IDLE 3.8.5, and then you save this. Save this with a name called test.py. That is how I have saved. I have saved it in the name of test.py and save it in a folder. Then what happens is that if I want to execute from there itself, you can either run from the interactive mode, from the shell, Python shell, or you can run directly from the script mode by pressing the shortcut key F5. The shortcut key used is F5. So by pressing F5, you will be in a position to run the Python script that is stored in the script mode. Here it is. When I am running the code, after pressing F5, I will be getting it as user input equal to enter your code. So say for example, if I am going to run this, what happens is that by pressing F5, I will be getting it as enter your name, because in my previous question in the script mode it was enter your name. Enter your name will come because I am restarting the Python shell. So after restarting, I am getting it as enter your name. If I type it as Python, I got it as welcome to Python DTH course. But in my earlier program, it was supposed to be welcome to IDLE 3.85, but I got it as welcome to Python DTH course. Why is it? It is because I said in my earlier program, in the program over here, in the Python, the P was capital, but wherein in my next case, during execution, I have typed the P as small. As I said, my dear viewers, kindly make a note of it. Python, it is case sensitive. Whatever input that you give, it checks based on the case. So here, since I have given it as smaller p, so Python, it goes to the else part. After viewing the else part, it printed welcome to Python DTH course. Now, I go back to my program, again I press my F5 key, then the Python shell again gets restarted like this. So when it gets restarted like this, it will ask you to enter your name. Now I am entering it as Python with capital P. So what happens here is, it will be printing it as welcome to IDLE 3.8.5. This is a string that I have given under the if condition. So it will be printing it as welcome to IDLE 3.8.5. Now again I am pressing F5 button. I am trying to, it is going to ask you enter your name. Now I am typing it as Ganesh. What happens? It goes to the else part. It prints it as welcome to Python DTH course. Because under if condition, you are supposed to have Python with capital P. One and only if you have capital P, it will be printing it as welcome to ideally 3.8.5, or else in any other case for that matter, it will be printing it as welcome to Python DTH course. So this is how the Python script mode works. And one other thing that is to be noted, when you use an if condition, which we will be seeing it shortly when we work out with the condition statements, but to have a glance of it, when you are using an if condition, it should have a colon. It should have a colon. After having a colon, when you press enter, your Python script automatically indents. Actually speaking, when you press an enter key, the cursor should come to the first line, first column position. But since you have given a colon, it by default it gets indents out and it comes over here and you will be printing it. And when you press an enter, it will come over here for checking if you have any other statements. If you do not have any other statements, you are supposed to press a backspace, then it goes over here, then press an else, then give a colon. When you give a colon and press enter, it automatically comes over here, comes over to the next indented position. So you can type like this. So unlike it is not a notepad, but when you work in notepad with respect to a language called as Java, wherein what happens is that when you press an enter, it by default it goes to column number 1. But in Python, by default the script by and large, it by default it indents by itself. So if you do not want indentation, you are supposed to press a backspace to go to the original level. So this is how the scripting mode works. Now let us see the difference between an interactive mode and the scripting mode. An interactive mode, it is a way of using the Python interpreter by typing commands and expressions at the prompt. As far as the script mode is concerned, it is a way of using the Python interpreter to read and execute the statements in a scripting mode. As far as the interactive mode is concerned, you cannot save and edit the code, because then and there you type in, you get the result spontaneously, you get the result instantaneously, you get the result immediately. Whereas in the script mode, you can save and edit the code. In the interactive mode, if we want to experiment with the code, we can use interactive mode. And as I said in my earlier lectures, the interactive mode is highly useful for the beginners. The script mode is highly useful for the professionals. If we are very clear about the code, then we can go in for the script mode. As far as the interactive mode is concerned, we cannot save the statements for further use, and we have to retype all the statements in order to rerun them. But as far as the script mode is concerned, we can save these statements for future use, and there is no need to retype all the statements in order to rerun them. As far as the interactive mode is concerned, we can see the results instantaneously, immediately, whereas in the case of script mode, we cannot see the code immediately, we cannot see the execution immediately. Even here you can press an F5 key, but there the way of execution is pretty faster when compared to the script mode. So these are some of the basic differences between an interactive mode and a script mode, which is a pretty important question as far as examination point of view is concerned. As well as far as an interview point of view is concerned, you might be asked the difference between an interactive mode and a script mode. Now let us enter into the next topic called functions. What is a function? A function is a subprogram which consists of set of instructions used to perform a specific task. It is a large program which is divided into basic building blocks called as function. The functions can be classified into two categories. One is called as a user-defined function, other one is a built-in function. Now let us see the need for going in for functions. When the program is too complex and when the program is large, then they are segmented, they are divided into smaller units or into smaller parts called as functions. Each part is separately coded and it is combined into a single program. Each subprogram is called a function. And debugging, testing and maintenance becomes pretty easy when you work with functions. This will become even more easy when the programs are segregated or segmented into smaller subprograms. The functions are used to avoid rewriting the same set of code again and again in a program. The functions provide code reusability. The length of the program is reduced drastically by the use of functions. So these are all the basic needs of using a function. Now let us see the different types of functions. One is said to be the user-defined function and the other one is said to be the built-in function. So as far as the user-defined function is concerned, the user-defined functions are the functions that programmers create for their requirements and use. These functions can then be combined to form module which can be used in other programs by importing them. The advantages of using the user-defined functions are the programmers working on large project can divide the workload by making different functions. If the repeated code occurs in a program, the functions can be used to include those codes, those programs, and execute when it is required, when needed, by calling that particular function alone. So these are some of the advantages of using a user-defined function. What is a built-in function? In my earlier lectures even we would have had one example. If I want to find the maximum of two numbers, you have a built-in function called as max of 3, 4 under Chevron, and you will get the result as 4. Such a use of max becomes a built-in. It is a built-in function. Whereas user defined as the user is defining, the user is stating the function. The user, if he requires, he will be writing it in program. If not required, he will not write in the programs. But as far as there are certain built-in functions too, as far as Python code is concerned. And supposing if I do not know what this max will do, then in the Chevron I can type it as help within open braces max, close the braces, press and enter, you will be getting the details of max. And or else go to this max, place the cursor over here, press the F1, you will get the details of this max built-in function. Now let us see the difference, or let us see how to define function. The function definition. Function definition is defined with a keyword called def. Def is a keyword that is used to define the functions. Def keyword is used to define a function. You give the function name after def keyword followed by a parenthesis. Parenthesis is nothing but bracket in which arguments are given. and you end it with a colon. Inside the function, add the program statements that are to be executed. End the function with or without a return statement. We will see what a return statement is shortly. Now, this is the schema of defining a function. You are supposed to have a keyword called def, a function name. If you have the function name with two different words, you are supposed to concatenate or join with an underscore symbol, and open braces, you are supposed to have parameters. Parameter 1, parameter 2, and you can have n number of parameters, and you are supposed to close the braces. When you open the braces, you are supposed to close the braces and give a colon. After giving a colon, when you press enter, it will automatically indent, and it will indent to the first statement, statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 up to statement n. Then you can close the function with a return and an expression, and the return statement is not mandatory too. So this is the schema of a function. Now let us see the function parameters. We saw in the schema varied parameters as parameter 1, parameter 2 and up to parameter n. Now let us see what is a parameter. Function parameters are the values provided in the parenthesis when we write the function header. These are the values required by function to work. If there is more than one value required, then all of them will be listed in the parameter list, which is separated by comma. For example, here it is define def. Def is a keyword for defining a user defined function. Def my addition or my underscore add. Open braces, I pass two parameters a comma b, close braces, and then give a colon to have the details about the function my add. Now let us see about the return statement. The return statement is used to exit a function, and it is used to go back to the place from where it was called. If the return statement has no arguments, then it will not return any values, but it will by default exit from the function. The schema of the return function is written as return expression. It is return expression. Expression is given in the braces. Now let us see about the function arguments. The function arguments are the values provided in the function call or invoke statement. The list of arguments should be supplied in the same way as the parameters are listed. Bounding of parameters to arguments is done with a ratio of 1:1, and so that there should be same number and type of arguments as mentioned in the parameter list. For example, my underscore add open braces x comma y. So here I need two parameters, so I am giving it as x comma y. Now let us see about the function prototype. As far as the function prototype is concerned, the functions are, it is broadly classified into four different groups. One is called as function without argument and without return type. The second one is function with argument and without return type. Third one is function without argument and with return type. Fourth one is function with argument and with return type. I repeat again because this is very important interview point of view question as well the examination point of view question. About the function prototypes, it is broadly classified into four types. One is function without argument, without return. function with argument, without return, function without argument, with return, function with argument and with return type. So these are the 4 different function prototypes available. Now let us see function without argument and without return type. In this type, no argument is passed through the function call and no output is returned to the main function. The subfunction will read the input value, will perform the operation and print the result in the same block. The function with argument and without return type. Here the arguments are passed through the function call, but output is not returned to the main function because you are not having any return type. Now as a third prototype, function without argument and with return type. In this type, no argument is passed through the function call, but output is returned to the main function. Fourth prototype denotes function with argument and with return type. In this type, arguments are passed through the function call and output is returned to the main function. Now let us see an example of without argument and without return type. Here when you type in an interactive mode itself, so within a chevron you give it as def add open braces close braces colon. Here you are not passing any arguments within the function. So a give a space, give an equal, give a space, int input enter a. Since you have opened two braces, you are closing two braces. B give a space, give equal, give a space, int input enter B. C equal to a plus b, print C. When you give this add, when you press an enter, when you give a backspace, press enter again, you get the chevron. Type as add open braces close braces. It will be asking you to enter the value of a, enter the value of b. You are supposed to enter the values. 5 plus 7 will be computed and will be printed. So 12 will be printed. Press and enter, you get the chevron again. So this is an example for without argument and without return type. We will see more examples in the future sessions. Now let us summarize this session. We saw about the scripting mode, the basic difference between working in an interactive mode and a script mode. Then we saw about the use of function, the need for function. We as well saw about the different function parameters, what is a function argument, and then what are the 4 different function prototypes. We will be seeing more examples about this function prototypes in the forthcoming sessions. Thank you.